Keep it rolling. It's unlocked.
Already?
Yep. Hey, I listened to the Lock Sportscast podcast. It's a podcast about lock sport and lock picking and locksmith news. It was like the first time I listened to it, and it mentioned that Multipick was running a competition where people that had bought their products, you could send in a photo in a creative way. Like with one of their products, you could send it with a nice background or in a creative way to make them laugh. And I asked my smart wife, my creative wife, what we could come up with. And this is what she came up with. You can see the multi-picks being used as hairpins. I even said in the email that it could be her everyday carry. It would be like the most awesome everyday carry kit, I reckon. Anyway, we managed to win first place in the whole world. And what we won is a golden Kronos electric pick gun, or EPG. It's the only one in the world like it because all the rest are silver. For those of you that don't know, it vibrates really fast and it unlocks mostly door locks, and I'll explain that more in a bit. I'd always wanted one because, for example, I remember when one of my friends asked me to come over because one of their flatmates had locked themselves out of their bedroom and there was just a door lock on the door. And I went round and I said, I'm not too experienced in lock picking. I'd say it's a 50% chance whether I could get in. But I tried and I tried and I tried. I just couldn't get in. So they ended up calling a locksmith, and I'd left, but he said to me the next day that the locksmith just came in with an electric pick gun and opened it really quick. And so I'd always wanted one because although I'm into locks and mostly combination locks, but also picking key tumbler locks because I enjoy it. But if I really need to get in, it's nice to have this added to my arsenal. But it's not cheap. I would eventually save up for one. And of course, Multipicks, they just do such good quality products. And the picks and the tensioners that they make are just such good quality. And if I could afford it, I'd save up and I would buy everything Multipick that I could. But yes, it's not cheap, but it is such good quality. This Kronos is just so beautifully made. All the lock sport people that have reviewed it are struck by its quality, like Lock Noob and Bosnian Bill and the Lock Picking Lawyer. And Bosnian Bill, for example, talks about how powerful it is and just how good it is and the how good the rechargeable battery is and how it keeps its charge for a long time and it's just so well made. And you can see here, it's just it's just engineered with such precision. Now remember, it's designed for key tumbler locks. For example, when you have keys with these straight up and down bits, a lock like that, or it might be a lock in your door. This works better in doors, and I'll get onto that in a bit. So note, it won't work for combination locks. It won't work for disc tumbler locks. It won't work for disc detainer locks either. It won't work on wafer locks like a lot of car keys that have bumps on both sides of your key, and it won't work on those slider locks or dimple locks. It won't work on these smiley dimple locks, and I wouldn't try it on locks that are really small either. But the vast majority of locks are key tumbler locks, where you've got a lock like this, or a lock like this where you have to try and pick it to unlock it. This is where the Kronos will come in very handy because, as I said, the vast majority of locks are key tumbler. This is where it can help lift up those key pins. Now, how does this work? Well, it's my understanding that it works in a very similar way to a bump lock. With the key tumbler lock, you've got the lower pins and the top pins, and what a bump key or an electric pick gun EPG can do is it can strike the lower pins, which will push the upper pins up above the shear line, and if the top pins are above the shear line and the bottom pins are below the shear line, then the cylinder can turn, and that's how it unlocks it. In some locks, if these are pushed up too far or one of them's pushed up too far, the cylinder can't turn, it blocks it. And if not all of the top pins are pushed up, again, the cylinder can't turn. And some locks might have different sorts of springs, or it might have different quality, or it might have some dust in there where the Kronos might not work because it can't get all the top pins above at the same time and all the bottom pins below for the cylinder to turn. I didn't show you the package. I have a nice letter showing that we've won. Note that it comes with some extra blades. They come with some tensioners as well. I like these straight tensioners because when it's in the lock, I can really feel what's going on, the feedbacks in here. But as with Lock Noob's videos, he points out how you really have to hold really loosely. And in fact, sometimes if you get a tensioner, which I don't usually like these, but in this case, it's twisted, it's more flexible, and I don't get as much feedback. But with this, I can just hold it loosely. I won't easily over tighten it. So in this case, I'm not after feedback. I'm just going to let the vibration do its work. And so I find that I prefer tensioners like this. And it comes with a recharger. Okay, let's give this a go. If I lock it, I can unlock it by turning to the right, and the tension when I turn it to the right is quite a lot. So usually with the electric pick gun, you want to hold light tension, but this is quite a strong tension here. So that's interesting to note. Oh, and the key bitting. This is just my practice lock, so it's okay to show you the bitting, and it's just like that. Okay, lock it up, and I want to turn to the right. In this case, I'll want quite a bit of tension. In fact, in this case, I'm going to use a top of the keyway tensioner. Okay, as Bosnian Bill says, put it all the way in and then out of it. Because the key, the key isn't that long. So I'm going to increase the tension a bit. And, oops, it's very sensitive pressing the button. Okay, I'm going to reset it and try it again. It's quite powerful. Okay, so I'm not going to try and put it at an angle from side to side. I'm not going to try and twist it this way either. and it's open. Okay, so I'm going to try that one more time. Going to lock it, and it's all locked. Oh, very powerful, like I said. I'm going to try a thicker tensioner. Okay, see how that works. Reset it. It's important to reset it because if the pins are stuck, like if they're overset, if they're too high, or if they're just stuck, because the idea is you want to use kinetic energy to bump those pins up, the top pins above the shear line, and capture that. In this case, I need to increase the tension to try and capture that a little bit because of the strong turning spring. Otherwise, it'd hold it even looser. It's important to note that if I'm tensioning too tight, it'll start to bind the pins, and I won't be able to knock the pins to the right place. So I'm going to hold it just loose, but a little bit tight for this lock, and it's open. Okay. Now you saw me do my front door lock. Keep it rolling. It's unlocked.
Already?
Yep. And I can single pin pick it. I tried and it took me about 10 minutes. So I'm not the best single pin picker in the world. So what it means is that with this, it's just good as a first line of attack I can use. And if it works, then great. If it doesn't, I can move on to something else. Be warned though, with another one of my locks, I was doing it a lot and it hadn't been used very much, and it might have been some dust in there or whatever, and I was doing it too long. I was about 20 minutes just thrashing those pins up. I think I put them up so high that the pins won't come down again. It won't even work with the key. So it's my lock, and it's something that I could take the risk, and I know how to fix it as well. But be warned, this isn't a tool that you're going to just use all the time just to practice opening locks, because it can ruin locks after a while, because, you know, it's violently striking those pins. And I mean, all lock picking, there's a risk for destroying a lock. But if a friend was locked out and they wanted me to come around, I would try this for like 1 or 2 minutes maximum. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, because if it works pretty quickly, as you've seen. And if it doesn't, I can move on to some other things. Okay, I've got another one of those door locks with that push button. And this is the bitting. Should I try bottom of the keybay this time? Oops. And it's open. Okay, so it's important to don't just keep having the tension there for ages and without resetting it, because you'll get nowhere. I like to do like sort of 3 buzzes and then reset it if it doesn't work. Now, can it work on padlocks like this? Yes, it can. I've opened it before with the Kronos, but it took quite a while. It wasn't easy. With this one, I tried, but it wouldn't open. So I'm going to do this in the hand, because these sort of padlocks in the wild, you know, they're not secured. They might be on a chain or on a latch. So I'm just going to hold it in my hand. I don't know if I should use top of the keyway or not. I'll give this a go. So I'm resetting that. And it's open. Okay, I was just doing really light tension because with this lock I don't have to overcome a strong turning spring pressure to open it. So that's good. I'll give this one a go. Okay, so I can't get in after a couple of minutes. I don't want to keep going because I could ruin the lock. The bitting isn't that bad. Now I don't know if you could see in Lock Noob's video, you could see little bits of metal dust coming out because it's vibrating very violently, striking things inside, and you can see some metal metal dust on the surface, and yeah, you can see it coming out of the lock because this is sort of that brassy color or whatever it is, nickel, and you can see I don't know metals. You can see the dust coming out. Okay, so you can imagine that if I keep on hammering away at this lock, it can start to ruin things inside. So all in all, a really good product. I'm really glad that I won it. It would be good to have in my toolkit. And now I'm just hoping that one of my friends logs themselves out. Cheers.